Good morning, everyone. So today we are going to do production possibility curve, also known as the PPC. All right. So get your pen, pencils, your highlighters, and everything ready for today's lesson. So basically, we start off with the production possibility curve. The production possibility curve is also known as the production possibility frontier. So normally we say PPC or PPF, not BP. Okay, so production possibility curve or production possibility frontier. Okay, or boundary or transformation curve depends on. So first of all is the definition of the production possibility curve. This is very important. You need to know this. So the economic problem, we know the economic problem is scarcity, and also as in term one that you learned, economic problem is unlimited resources, a few resources to satisfy all the wants and needs, and choices needs to be made. This implies that choices have to be made, and every choice involves an opportunity cost. Economists have a tool to enable you to visualize scarcity of resources and how people make choices and how much each choice will cost you. This tool is called the production possibility curve, also known as the PPC. So what's important here? First of all, we need to know that we have an economic problem. And the definition of economic problem is unlimited wants and needs and limited resources. Like for us, for instance, we want the best iPhone, the iPhone 11, but unfortunately, because of our limited resources, our income, we cannot afford such. So because we cannot afford the iPhone Pro, the iPhone 11, we have to make a new term that we're now learning, a choice. Now this choice obviously involves an opportunity cost. So either I am going to buy the new iPhone, the Pro 11, and then not eat this month. So that's my opportunity cost is food. Or I'm going to buy the iPhone 6 and we'll be able to still eat and put food on the table. So now this is just things that I'm saying to you. So I'm saying three terms to you. I'm saying opportunity cost, choice, and scarcity. So because of scarcity, we have to make a choice, and because we make a choice, we are giving up something, and that is called the opportunity cost, term one definition. So now what economists have done is they have thought of a way how to illustrate this. So we illustrate this and we show you all this that I'm speaking of now in something that's called the PPC, or the production possibility curve. So first of all, this is how the production possibility curve looks. Number one, it always touches the X and Y axis. Okay, it has to touch. If it doesn't touch, it's a demand curve. So it needs to touch the axis. That's the first thing, right? Now, first of all, must be able to plot this. So in position of production possibility, so your possibility you have now, you can have coconuts and bananas. Now, you can either have 18 coconuts, bananas, and 0 coconuts. But now you're thinking, no, I would like to have some coconuts as well as bananas. So now I will buy 2 coconuts, but that means I have to give up opportunity cost some bananas. So I'm giving up 1 banana. At production possibility curve 3, I said 2 coconuts is not enough for me. I would like to have 4. Now, because you want more coconuts, you have to give up more bananas. So now you're going to give up 2 more bananas. And so it continues. I want more coconuts, less bananas. More coconuts, less bananas. Whereas you get to a point where you're just buying coconuts and no bananas. So that is the production possibility curve. So you can plot this as well. Now we have a place here, we have a production possibility plot number 2. We have 2 coconuts. We have 2 coconuts and 17 bananas. We have point C. The next one, we have 4 coconuts and 15 bananas. So we take it up all the way to that, and our next point is point B. Here we have Let's go to point A, which is then 8 coconuts and 8 bananas. Okay. So this is our various points. Now, first of all, if I move from point B to point A, that is basically where you make a choice and opportunity cost occurs. Because, let me show you, at point B, I had 4 coconuts. Point B, I had 4 coconuts and 15 bananas at point B. Okay? At point A, I will have 8 of each. Point A. Okay. So because I moved between these 2 points, I had to give up something. Opportunity cost occurred. So now, here is my point A. So I wanted more coconuts because I had 4 at point B, but at point A, I wanted 8 coconuts. That means I have to give up bananas, right? So how do we work out the opportunity cost? Very easy. At point B, it was 15 bananas. Point B minus point A, which is 8. That means I gave up 7 bananas, and that is my opportunity cost. My opportunity cost is 7 bananas. Fine. So basically, I subtract point B from point A. Right. So this is how this curve works. Now on this curve, there's various points. Now you need to be able to discuss each point. Okay. This will be either an essay or it can be a 20-mark question. So it can be both. So let's look at point A. This is point A. At point A, they are producing 8 million bananas and 8 million coconuts. How do we know this? We just look at point A. Point A, we say to the bananas, we see it's 8. And here below, if we take it down, we see it's 8 coconuts. This is the maximum they can produce in this situation. Production cannot take place. It cannot take place outside the curve as they do not have the resources. Okay? So what we're saying here is this is the resources you have in your factory that you have with your 4 factors of production: your capital, the land you have, the natural resources, the human resources, and the financial and the entrepreneur. So you have all of these 4 factors of production. Now, all of these 4 factors of production that you have, you can only produce a certain combination of products. Okay, so these are the combination of products of coconuts and bananas they could have produced. Now, if someone would come to me and say, I want 10 coconuts as well as 10 bananas, it is not possible because I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough human resources. I don't have enough natural resources. I don't have enough money, and the entrepreneurship, you can't make it work. So that means you can't produce outside the curve because you don't have those resources. It's kind of like me wanting to buy the new iPhone Pro. I don't have the resources, so it can't fit in my production possibility curve. Okay, so point D is outside the curve. It means you cannot produce at that point. The Indians are producing 4, and at point B, they are producing 4 coconuts and 15 million bananas. At point C, they are producing 2 million coconuts and 16 million bananas. This is not very efficient use of their resources as they are not using all their land and everything they need in the best way possible. Okay, why are we saying that? It's because look here, at this the curve is going outwards. If you look at it, point C is here, point A is here. So point A is further away, which means they are using more resources and they're maximizing the profits. This might be also a result of unemployed workers that's not being used in the land. It can, in your factory, it can be a result of people not working. It can be even this pandemic now. It can be a reason. Sorry about that, I just quickly paused the recording. So let's move on. So then at point D, now remember I said because you can't produce at this point because this line represents the resources you have available. Okay? Because this is all the resources you have available. You cannot produce at that point because you don't have enough resources. You can't produce 11 bananas and 12 bananas and let's say 11 coconuts because you don't have enough money, you don't have enough labor, you don't have enough to produce at point D. So that is also called, it's unobtainable. You can't produce outside the curve. So this is the imaginary situation where you want to produce 10 coconuts and 12 bananas. It is not possible to produce at this point because you do not have enough resources to produce that product. It's unobtainable. You can't produce. Okay. Then let's imagine quickly A, B, C, D, E. Point E. Just add that to me. Point E. At point E, you are under underutilizing your resources. That means that you can produce at this point, but you are not utilizing, not using all your labor, all your finances, all your natural resources. That means you're not making the profit you can make. So basically, if you produce at point E, you can produce there, but you can make more money if you produce at point A. So if you're inside the curve, it's underutilizing of your resources. Point D outside the curve, you can't produce outside the curve. If you move from point A to from point B to point A, that is called opportunity cost and scarcity. Okay, this is very important. You have to know this. So now let's move on to the next page, the production possibility curve. So the production possibility curve is not fixed. Okay? So why is it not fixed? Number one, your resources can always increase. You can all of a sudden get an influx of money, a lot of money from a grant or a subsidy. So that means you can produce more products now because you can hire more people, you can buy more natural resources. So it's not fixed. It can always move. It can either move outwards, meaning you get more resources, or inwards, you get less resources. Okay. So if the production possibility curve will move outwards and to the right if there is more goods and services being produced. Can you remember the little ruler that we made for demand and supply? Okay, it's the same. If it increases, it moves to the right. If it decreases, it moves to the left. Fine. As for example here, it will move inwards and to the left because there's been a decrease in the production. So there you can see the curve. This was the original curve and it shifted outwards. That means it moved to the right. That means it has increased. With this one, this is the original curve. It has increased by indication of the arrows. So that means it has moved inwards. It has decreased. So that is kind of like where people just quit. Or now during this lockdown, people are not buying the product anymore. So people are going to be retrenched. Natural resources aren't available. So that means your production will decrease. Okay. So now there's certain reasons why there is either an increase to the right or a decrease to the left. Now we're going to look at some of the reasons. First of all, it's divided into two. It's divided into internal factors, so everything that you control inside your factory, and external reasons, everything that's outside your factory. So, internal reasons is the production techniques, number one. So, production techniques, if there's an improvement in production techniques, that means you can produce more products more efficiently without wastage. So, you can produce more with the same amount of resources, right? That's improvement in the production techniques. That can be anything from putting a new process in place or revising your plant plan and making a new plan so that everything works and goes more smoothly. So then the first of all, second, we have technological advantages. So that can be something like now all of a sudden technology was developed so you can buy a new machine that's more automated, that's faster, and that can produce faster with the same amount of resources. Then thirdly, we have motivated employees. So if you motivate them, you say, okay, if you produce 100 products today, you can leave by 5 o'clock. Or if you produce 100 of these products today, you will get an incentive of an extra 1,000 Rand at the end of the month. So that can be, that is called productivity bonuses. So the more you produce, the more you get back. It's kind of like when you work for commission. So the more policies you write or the more products you sell, the more commission you would earn. Then we have this other factors. So we looked at now internal factors. Now we're looking at factors that's outside our factory. So that's external. This is factors that's outside the business and might cause an improvement in the quality or the quantity of the resources, or and this can lead to an increase in your production line. So it can be improvements in the education system, the transport can be better and faster, the communication can be done faster, the trade between the different products can be done faster, the health of the workers, your workers are healthy, they're not sick all the time, so they're at work, you can produce more, favorable interest rates, so you can all of a sudden, like during lockdown, people were given an extension on paying SARS. They were given an extension on paying their mortgages. And even now, if you borrow your interest rate, we decreased our interest rate by 2 points. So that is now something that can work for you for business, and also environmental factors like weather conditions. So then if we relocate the curve, now this is the first one. So if we look at our original demand curve, our production possibility curve, which is this one, and our second one, which is this. If you just look at the curve, that means you now producing, it's a curve production between cars and carrots. Okay. Now, everybody starts off at that same point, but what happened with carrots? More carrots was being produced. So that means there only carrots are being produced more and no cars. Cars stayed the same, carrots increased. So let's have a look at it. So if someone developed a new way to grow and harvest carrots, so there's an improvement in production techniques, improved way to grow carrots. The economy would be able to produce more carrots efficiently with the same resources available. But car production has not increased. It stayed the same. Thus, there will only be an outward shift on the carrots axis, on this axis. Okay, so cost stayed the same. New production technique for carrots, that means carrot can move outward to the right. Okay, the next one, we have our original curve between cars and carrots. On this curve, you can see there's been an improvement in the production of cars. So there's a new manufacturing of cars are being used. So there's new tools and equipment. That means you can produce more cars, more faster, with the same amount of effort, but carrots stays the same. So that shows only an outward movement on the car's part. But now, let's say there's been an improvement in production techniques in both cars and carrots. That means the whole curve will shift and not only a part. So if this was the original one, and this is the cars and carrots. So as you can see, there was a production technique increase in carrots because that has increased, and in cars has increased. So it moves, both moves to the outward. Thus, both will move to the outward axis. Okay, if in a country were to invest in economy, there will be lots of new material, more labor, more educated, trained people. We would have a general increase in the efficiency of the whole economy. So if the government invested, the curve will move upwards on all levels. More cars will be made and more carrots will be grown because they don't have to sacrifice, because there is now more money. Now, what all of a sudden our economy contracts? This means, okay, let's say there was a drought in the land and this polluted the workers' water. They weren't trained. They didn't look after the equipment. Now, the production possibility curve will move inwards. So there will be fewer cars being produced. This will be the total inward shift of the curve on both axes. So here we have our inward shift. As you can see, it's shifted inwards. So the first one is, now the government invested money into our economy. That means our economy is growing. That means we're obviously going to produce more cars and more carrots. That's why the whole curve shifted upwards. But with this one, we are saying there was now a drought, and now people couldn't get carrots. The carrots were polluted, the water were polluted, the workers weren't trained efficiently, they didn't look now after the equipment, and thus they couldn't produce more cars. Or there was a drought and they were hungry, so they couldn't come to work. That means the cars weren't being produced as much, so the whole curve would shift inward. Right. So that is the production possibility curve. Right, so that is just for today. So I want you to look at your worksheet of production possibility curves. I will want you to do activity 1, okay? And activity 1, activity 2, and activity 3 for today. Okay, right. Enjoy your life. Tomorrow we will continue with the rest of the production possibility curve.